What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a chat about Roronoa Zoro. You see, I told you the other day that Roronoa Zoro was the best new deck in OP-12. And there's a few reasons we could talk about this, and we'll go through as we go through, but there was a really obvious giveaway that this was the best new deck in OP-12, and that was when we had a look at the price the other day of singles. The alternate art Zoro leader was miles above any other leader. So I figured, right, we need to come in early this week, and I need to tell you about Roronoa Zoro from OP-12, how people are building it, and why it's doing so well. Because it seemed like, if not the best deck, definitely the best new deck. And then we had a large tournament this weekend over in Hokkaido. This past weekend, we had ourselves an area tournament. They're one of the bigger ones. It was over in Hokkaido. Second place, this Zoro. Yeah, I wish it had won too, but it didn't win. And I was like, well, I could tell you all about one that had gone and won a flagship battle over in Japan. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. If we got a second place finish in Hokkaido at this big area tournament, maybe we should focus on that instead. Also, fun side note, the deck that won in Hokkaido this weekend, OP-01 Zoro. And I love the fact that the final of this big tournament in Hokkaido, you know, the first big tournament in OP-12, was Zoro from the very first set against Zoro from the very later set. The fact that we got these going makes me happy. What also makes me happy is this is a deck with multiple different TCG. We've got Perona, and that new Zoro magazine promo, it turns out, is as good as I told you it might be. So maybe we all just, you know, take a breath and talk about this new Zoro. Now, in terms of the leader here, what we've got is a really ridiculous skill. It's mono green, but Don-X free, activate main once per turn. If you battle a character, set it to active. And then it cannot attack a character with an original cost of 7 or less, but you attack a character and then you get to restand it to attack either leader or a character with a cost of 8 or more. That is a ridiculous leader skill. Genuinely ridiculous leader skill. Okay, cool. Good start. But then we have a lot of support, and this is a pretty OP-12 heavy deck. So we start off with the Kozuki Hyori from OP-12. One cost 0 power, counter plus 1,000, but activate main, rest 1 Don and this character. And if your leader is Roronoa Zoro, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a / attribute card, any card, or a green event, and add it to your hand. But then one of the other 1 costs we've got in here, in fact the only other 1 cost is your Perona. 1 cost 2,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and on play. If your leader has a / attribute, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find any / attribute card or a green event, and add it to your hand. So basically, we've got 2 1-drops here. 1 on play, 1 activate main if you pay 1. And both of them are searching out / characters and green events. Yes, we've got some ridiculous green events here. We'll get to them at the end. And yes, we are going predominantly / characters here. Obviously, we're going predominantly / characters. Except for Perona and Kozuki Hyori, who obviously don't need to be because they're searching. They're not what we're searching for. What is? Koshiro, another OP-12 card. 2 cost 1,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And firstly, it's got blocker. And secondly, it's got if a / attribute character with a cost of 5 or less other than this is KO'd by an opponent's effect, you can rest this character instead. So if they try taking out one of your / characters with an effect, you rest it. And if they try taking it out with an attack, you block. This becomes one of the best cards in the entire game for keeping your bigger cards that you want on the field. Adore this. Absolutely phenomenal. We've then got a card that isn't from OP-12, but it's one that you might have guessed might be in here. It is, of course, the TCG from OP-10, TCG in Smoker's Body. 3 cost 4,000 power, counter plus 2k. We need some 2k counter in the deck. But when your green character other than TCG would be removed by an opponent's effect, you can rest this character instead. So firstly, it works with Koshiro here to protect your characters. But secondly, if somebody tries taking out Koshiro with an effect, you can use Tashigi to save Koshiro, and then Koshiro to save somebody else down the line. Love this. Lot of protection for your other characters, which is very, very important. We then have another Slash character that comes around from OP-12. We've got Shimotsuki Kozaburo. And free cost 2k, counter plus 2000. Again, counter plus 2k is good. And on play, you rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and then KO a rested character with an original cost of 1 or less. Original cost of 1 or less, so you cannot lower power and then go after them. That's a bit sad. If nothing else, it's a very searchable 2k counter, because it's a Slash character, so that'll do quite nicely. And then when the skill works, that's going to be lovely as well. Cool. Now, we then have a couple of Zoro. Be weird if we didn't have any Zoro in the deck now, wouldn't it? We've got ourselves the 4 cost from OP-12. Cannot be played from hand by an effect. But if your leader has a Slash attribute, it cannot be KO'd in battle by Slash attribute cards. And it gains 1000 power, which is pretty awesome. But then we've got the promo Zoro. This is the one that came around recently in a magazine, and I told you that it looked like a very strong card. So we've got 4 cost 4k, counter plus 2000, another searchable 2k counter, and on play, you KO a rested character with a cost of 2 or less. Again, it's not phenomenal, but it's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. And again, the searchable 2k counter here is a pretty big deal. We've then got a smoker that looks suspiciously like a Tashigi. This is the one that came around in OP-10. And we got Banish and Activate Main, set one of your Don to active, and then that is the last time you can set Don cards to active using character effects for the turn. But you got a 7k with Banish that can put Don active. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a very nice skill. We've then got another Tashigi, which looks like Tashigi. This is one of the ones from OP-12. Again, you'll notice all these characters I'm showing you here, they are all Slash attribute characters. Except for the 2 searches I showed you at the start, every single character in here is a Slash attribute character. Again, with the searching we've got, that should not surprise you. But this new Tashigi, on play, rest one of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 6 or less, and then give your leader Roronoa Zoro up to free rested Don. Well, you're resting a character, and you're giving free Don to your leader, but bearing in mind you need to give free Don to your leader in order to activate the leader skill, which is a Don X free. Add it all up together, things are going very nicely. Stunning card in this particular deck. And again, this is going to work a lot more often than you might think it's going to work, because we've got really good search. We then have Cavendish from EB01, and here's the thing, right? Generally speaking, if you're playing a Supernova deck, you are playing Cavendish. It is just an absolute no-brainer. This is a Supernova leader. So it's green, Supernova leader. Oh, you're playing Cavendish, ladies and gentlemen. You're absolutely playing Cavendish. And this is one of the things, when the card designers give this Supernova, they're basically saying, go on then, you can use Cavendish. On play and when attacking, if your leader is Supernova and you have no other Cavendish on the field, activate 2 Don. Yes, ridiculous. Now, this is actually particularly good with Zoro, because what you really want to be doing here is attaching 3 Don per turn, and if you're not getting a skill like Tashigi rolling, you're kind of 3 Don down every turn. So by using Cavendish to activate 2 Don, you basically get 2 of those Don back, and you're only really putting 1 Don onto Zoro. Don't get me wrong, Zoro has the free Don. It is an 8k, but you lose 3 Don that you could otherwise be using to put onto Zoro. This gives you 2 of them back. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good trade. Now, that's the vast majority of the deck, but we have, in terms of characters, but we do have one big boy character coming in here as well, and it is the new Dracula Mihawk. This is one of the other cards where, as soon as it was revealed, when they dropped all the super rares from the set, we looked at it and we went, oh, yeah. Because you got blocker, and on play set up to 4 Don as active, and then you cannot play a character of an original cost of 7 or more for the rest of the turn. We don't have any other characters other than Mihawk, so basically just one Mihawk per turn. But when you combine Mihawk and Cavendish, you're basically activating 6 Don during your turn. And you've got a leader that's going to restand once during your turn. These are things that feel like cheating. But then we have a bunch of event cards as well, because we can search them out really easily. We're going to take advantage of them. And the big one here is the expensive one, the free cost. Luffy is the man that will become king of the pirates. Activate main, set your Roronoa Zoro leader active. It's only for Roronoa Zoro leader, but it sets you active. It's a free cost. Obviously, you're playing 4 of these. If you could play more, you would play more. This is a redonkulous card, an absolutely redonkulous card. Literally just sets your Zoro leader active. And bearing in mind, you're already restanding once. And you're going to have 3 Don on there, so you're going to be an 8k. So now you're talking about an 8k leader, which is used 3 times during your turn. Maybe more if you can play multiple of this event. Absolutely absurd card. We then got Paradise Waterfall from OP-01, full 4 copies. As a counter, you get a 2k bump for your leader or one of your characters, and then set one of your characters to active. And as a trigger, KO an opponent's rested character of a cost of 4 or less. Cool. Good card. Only a 1 cost. We can see how it's getting into the deck. The other ones we see here are kind of more as text rather than one-offs, but we've got the long-named green event from OP-05, specifically because the side of justice will be whichever side wins. And as a counter, trash a card from your hand to get a 3k bump for your leader or character for the battle. And as a trigger, rest a 4 cost or lower. There's quite a lot of resting in this deck, and then giving your leader a bump or one of your characters seems kind of fun. And then we've got the new one from OP-12, Demonic 9-Sword Style Asura, Dead Man's Game, or something along those lines. Activate main, rest 3 of your Don, to rest 2 of your opponent's characters or Don cards, and then as a counter, it's a 3k bump for your leader. Only for the battle, but still. Very cool card. Here's a list as a whole, and I love this deck. I think this deck is phenomenal. Firstly, you're activating multiple extra Don during your turn. Secondly, you're restanding constantly. And then, of course, because Tashigi and Perona are 2 of my favourite characters, this is a deck that I absolutely love. Plus a magazine promo. Although, please do bear in mind, as I've said, that magazine promo is a really good card. We're unlikely to get it at the same time we get OP-12, because we generally get the magazine promos a little bit later. I don't know, I can't tell you for certain, but that's likely based on what we've seen in the past. So you might have to rebuild this deck just a tiny bit when OP-12 comes out over here. But I've told you about it all now, so now it's over to you guys. Do you think Zoro is as good as it looks? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.